What's up guys, it's Compass coming at you with another video here. We're going to be checking out how the cost changes have been affecting the meta so far. Some observations that I made. Of course, we're like a week and a half since cost changes. We're in the middle of ePremier week 4 qualifiers, so I'm going to be talking about the observations that I made, maybe helping y'all make y'all's teams, showing y'all what's working, what's not for me, and some other teams that I built. Also, some great news is that WBSC eBaseball Power Pros is going to be featured in the PlayStation Days of Play sale. It is only 69 cents, so that's like cheaper than anything I could think of off the top of my head. I think that y'all should go check it out and buy that if y'all have a PlayStation 4 or 5. It would help a lot to the English community, help bring a localization in for the main game. The main game is super fun. As y'all know, I run the Icon series on the main game. Also, check below in the description. I have all my links there, my Twitch and the Power Pros World Discord server. Of course, we're super active in that Discord, help you out with your team, any tips that you could get, any questions you have, just anything that you can possibly ask, we'll answer. Let's get into the teams. This first team is the team that I went into this tourney with. I went in with Myojin and Atsumori, the two best pitchers in my opinion in the game. I do not regret bringing them in. They have been pretty good for me. They've been winning me a lot of games. I do recommend both of them. You could possibly go for Unkai or Kiba for a little bit cheaper, but I chose the best two pitchers. And let's go over, of course, I chose all the free players. We don't need to talk about the free players. The first fielder I have is my outfielder, Shibuya. Shibuya I mainly chose for the menace, and because he almost has S power. He's a pretty decent fielder, but he's just been underperforming for me personally. I mean, no slugger, no anything. He just doesn't hit too well for me. He can sometimes hit bombs, but it's just inconsistent at best. Menace is cool, but just not really that great of a bat. He's kind of underperforming. I would say still kind of worth to pick up. 3 costs, nice bat, menace. You could probably make him work. I just don't personally like him. Of course, I got Daisuke Dieda, 7 cost. One of the best hitters in the game, also the best catcher in the game, got 8 catcher. Has menace, slugger, he's putting in work for me. I mean, I totally recommend him. I see a lot of him out there. He's a very popular player. I have Oda on my team, the Franken Oda, just so he can back up pitch. One gripe I have about my team is I just don't have enough pitching. I thought that Possessed Atsumori, Myojin, and Oda were going to be enough. It's just, I don't feel like it's enough. I should have picked up maybe another pitcher. Maybe someone to throw against the D ranks. But I don't like the free pitchers that they give you. That you got to throw before Oda. And some people have just been running through Oda and Atsumori's stamina. It's just been bad. But that's the gripe that I have with my team. But Oda has been fine for me. Of course, great pinch hitter. Great pitcher. Definitely worth the cost for me. Sanban Matsu has been the meta first baseman. I feel like I see him everywhere on everyone's team. 1 cost, S power, slugger, pull hit. He's just kind of a must-have on your team, to be honest. Like, he doesn't even need to play first base. You could put him as a pinch hitter, but you kind of need him if you want to have a good slugger coming off the bench. I have Satine as my outfielder. Satine has magnet and almost B fielding. Of course, she's not as good of a hitter as Shido is. At that 1 cost, could also play that center field, but I just feel like she's a better defender at center field, and I don't need her to hit usually. And when she does hit, she does a fine job at it. She has that A clutch, so if someone's on second, she's gonna get a huge boost. But I'm very happy with her. She gets to a lot with that magnet, and she's just been playing very good. Morikawa, I picked up for the chaser. 3-cost chaser is very valuable. Just been pretty decent for me. I mean, the chaser it's been working, so you could say that's been good, but like, I recommend them at 3 costs. Haven't been spectacular, but been getting me base hits. Of course, we have these free players down here. Neither one of them really get any type of time. We did pick up a second baseman for our team. I wasn't comfortable with the Nagise Wachan situation, especially whenever I didn't have a backup third baseman just in case. We'll go over my third base situation later, but I couldn't use Ome because I didn't have another morale. Didn't want to risk the buzzkill. So I did end up going with Iseki at second base. He's been doing just fine for me. Normal Iseki stuff. He does the same thing all the time. He's just a nice fielder that gets pinch hit out for Wachan. Go over Wachan later. Takano, I was very skeptical of. He gets a lot of doubles, and he's so fast on the bases. 2 costs. I think that he is worth it. I do play him in the outfield, but he's just so worth it in my opinion. Like, he can sometimes get a bomb for you if you're lucky, but most of the times it's doubles, and like, he can even get a triple, which is kind of crazy, just getting a triple off like good fielders. He just runs so fast. He's just such a threat on the bases, and I feel like he hits well enough where the F clutch doesn't even really matter too much. He's fast enough where the F stealing doesn't matter too much. He's just a very good player. I was skeptical of him, but he has been performing. Alright, and my third base for Furunaga. I always have trouble saying that name, but to me, he's just a budget Chacho. I've been very happy with his performance. He's a pretty good fielder. The speed kinda kills him on the base paths. I kinda need a pinch runner for him. That's why Iseki is in the situation, because Nagise is actually my backup third baseman just in case I need a pinch runner for him. But just a power slugger pull hit, he's very good for me. I really like him. Just a budget Chacho in my opinion. I'd rather have him than Chacho for 3 less. And let's go over some other teams that I've created now that with the knowledge I have. And here I created a team that basically has a similar idea to my other team in terms of slugging, but it just has a little bit better pitching situation. Of course, you got Edogawa there. Edogawa is very good. Has that setter, bunch of good abilities, nice slugger. Regu is a very usable option at 7 costs with Menace, Slugger, S Power. One of the better players. Of course, Saga was someone that we learned about very early on whenever he came into the game. 4 cost. He's a very good contact hitter. And that very nice center fielder. Fukuya has Menace. Very nice slugger. Someone that I have been seeing a bit of coming into the qualifier. And of course, for your DH, you want to put a pitcher there, or you could put Roddy Bright. Roddy Bright is on this team. We got Ban here. He's a nice slugger. He's also very nice shortstop for 2 costs. He's got that bullseye ability and Glover. One of the best shortstops that I could recommend in this game if you aren't looking for chaser. Morikawa just has chaser, which is just, it's such a rare ability and such a needed ability that it just makes Morikawa almost more worth over Ban. But I feel like without that chaser, Ban is definitely the better option. I would say a slightly better fielder with the Glover, and definitely a better hitter, definitely a better slugger with that slugger ability and with the rally ability. Can't say better things about Ban. Akahara is a nice catcher option, 8 catcher, and can hit with power if like Ban gets on second base or something. Of course you want to pinch hit for both of these guys, but someone on my team, they do have morale. Yeah, Edagawa has morale on my team, so this is a team where you can not run a cost second baseman. You could just run Nagise into Wachan because you can run Ome at third base. But yeah, this is, you just run Yabe and Nagise, and then you just pinch hit with your pitchers, and then, which we will go over in just a second. Nice batting lineup. Of course, your 3 pitchers on the team are going to be Unkai, Myojin, and Roddy Bright. Unkai and Myojin are your 2 aces, and I picked Unkai and Myojin because you could pitch both of them on no stamina. Of course, no stamina pitching isn't the best with, like, let's say someone like Atsumori, where their pitch moves and it's just not going to move at all while they're on no stamina. Unkai and Myojin still keep that heaviness property, so you could pitch them on no stamina. And Roddy Bright you could just throw against like the D ranks out there, so you don't have to use Unkai or Myojin. Of course, these guys are all the free guys. I don't like any of them really. They all just get smacked really. There's no good free pitchers now. You have to pay for a good pitcher. All the pitchers that are free just get absolutely smacked around silly. This right here is more of a beginner friendly / contact hitting team. This team has a pitching rotation of Asa and Aoba as your 2 main aces, which are 2 easy to use pitchers and both cheap. You also have Kagurazaka, which you could also pitch to people. That curveball is deadly and it's pretty easy to use, so I would recommend a starter using them just against, like, I wouldn't say D ranks, I would say around like 53 PRs, like the cutoff I would use Kagurazaka against. But definitely that curveball is deadly and hard to hit. Simon you could really pitch against the very bad players, but Simon mostly here for his contact hitting ability, a little bit of power, just in case you need a little bit of power on this team. But let's get to the hitting. Of course, you're starting out with Kirigane at first base. One of the best first base in the game, fielding wise, very fast, very nice contact hitter. That setter ability is just very nice to get you started out with. Also very fast on the base path, so just nice small ball option at first base. Of course, you got Takeno at left field. Feel like that's a must-have if you're a small ball player. Just flies around the base paths at 97 speed and B runner. It was so fast and just very good contact ability even without clinical and with easy out. Just 90 hit, it's just very good for you. It's just makes your PCI so big, makes those hits so easy. Follow that up with Victor Kohlberg, gets that menace behind them. Also a clinical hitter and a push hitter with almost S contact, kind of in the middle there with 85, so very easy to hit with. Very nice. Also gets a boost against that left-handed pitcher just like Takeno does. Of course, that pitch hitter, you could put a pitcher there like Unkai, Myojin. I would probably put Myojin there just for the speed, but it gives you a little bit of power there. Or you could have Ome there. Ome is a nice contact hitter. You have Izuyoi at shortstop, the best defending shortstop in the game. Also very good at contact hitting with clinical and A hitting. Very good on the base pass with A stealing and Joker, almost A speed. Just one of the best players you could get at 4 cost. Just the best shortstop in my opinion. Next you have Saga up in center field. Just very good fielder. Very fast, nice contact hitter with that clinical. Very easy to use as a contact hitter. Next you got Saburi. Very underrated at 1 cost. I haven't seen a lot of Saburi at second base, but I definitely am a fan. Flies around the bases with that A runner. Has a nice contact ability with clinical and A contact. Just a very solid option for 1 cost at second base. You got Shimada at third base, has clinical, rally, and that morale which is needed to have Ome on the team in my opinion. Can also kind of hit for power with that 4 trajectory, that A clutch, and that C power, especially with rally. Just very good at defense though. Very good at contact hitting with clinical and B contact. And then you got Suwano at catcher. Suwano is just a very good clinical hitter. You also got that A catcher, which will help out your pitchers like Aoba, who has stamina problems sometimes. It'll just give him a little bit more life, and will also keep you alive on the base pass. And this last team right here is if you're just like an absolute madman and you need like someone like Oda on your team. Your 2 main pitchers are Hakudo, who has that nasty cutter on the outside just like Doe, and Myojin. Hakudo is now taking over. He's taking back over his spot as the meta kind of budget pitcher that could go up against anyone. I would say I see a little bit of Hakudo, but I've seen it from the top players definitely. But those are your only 2 pitching options. Of course, on this team you have both the Odas, Franken Oda and regular Oda. Of course, we're going to start out at third base. You got Takeno. I'm a big fan of Takeno. Get you started with a nice double. Then you got Oda up to bat. Of course, you gotta get Oda in early. He's playing that left field. I feel like Takeno would rather play that third base and Oda play that left field, considering his fielding is higher. You got Horisugi, which is like a budget Shibuya. Not as much power, a little bit higher contact, not as good of a fielder. Has that menace still, that rally, but doesn't have the Victor, I don't think. That's the one ability he's missing. I would say they're very similar. You got Morikawa, of course the chaser is still there. Kinda need that chaser somewhere. Morikawa's very solid. Oda you could really replace for like one of your pitchers. Samba Matsu is just very good first baseman. Of course, I talked about earlier on my team. Akahara I talked about earlier. Nomi, I see a lot of Nomi at second base. I think that some people say her range is higher than Aseki's, but I'm not sure about that. And then I have Shido. Shido's a substitute to Satine in center field at that 1 cost. Better hitter with that clinical ability, but just not as good in the field. Doesn't have the arm that Satine does. Slightly worse arm. She's slightly faster, but the Glover is just a worse magnet. So I think Satine does end up being slightly faster in the field. But if you aren't looking to pitch hit for Shido, I would definitely suggest Shido over Satine. And then you have Kuriki coming off the bench, nice slugger for 1. Don't use them at catcher with that F catcher, but has that S power. Kind of like Sanban Matsu basically at that catcher position. And it basically just gives you the option to like pitch it for Shido if you want. Of course you want to pitch it for Nomi for Wachan. Of course that's the situation. You want to go for almost all the second basemen if you're pitch hitting for them. I think the only one you don't want to pitch hit for is the contact team, but let's talk about some players I've been seeing. Of course I've been seeing the Myojins and the Unkais, and I've been seeing Ryzen Kibas, but we've been seeing of course the Atsumoris, Myojins, Unkais, a little bit of Doe. Most of the meta pitchers, you pretty much still need a meta pitcher. Nothing changes with the cost. Those are the people that people can't hit. I have not seen any of Afro Kari. I think Afro Kari is almost dead, as predicted. Let's just go position by position because after this point, I mean, I see a little bit of Hakuto. Hakuto's probably just taking the position of Afro Kari. Hakuto and Ribukai, honestly, both of those. But let's just talk position by position. I think Daisuke Dieta is just dominating right now, dominating the meta. If you don't see Daisuke Dieta, you see a Suwano most likely, but Akahara gets a little bit of time. You don't really see anyone outside of those three, but it's like 80% Dieta. At first base, I still see a lot of Sendo, surprisingly. I do see a lot of Sendo. A lot of Psychopaths still run Sendo. Surprisingly, these three have not. I haven't seen them as much as I thought I would. I've seen more Christine than anything. I guess I've seen a little bit of Kashida, a little bit Anawake, but I've seen a lot of Christine. But the two people I've really seen the most are Edogawa and Sanbanmatsu. I think those are the two meta picks at first base. You just go budget at first base and grab one of those, just depending on which one you have the budget for. But yeah, those two are dominating the first base meta. Surprisingly, at second base, I haven't seen a lot of just Nagise Wachan action. I've been seeing a lot of Nomi, a lot of Aseki, but mostly Nomi. I would say 70% Nomi, 30% Aseki if they have a one cost second baseman. I have been seeing a little bit of like Niepitet and surprisingly Saru at 3 costs. He's definitely one of the best fielding options, but not too great of a hitter. I'm kind of surprised to see him at the rate I do, but definitely warranted with the defense that he does bring to the table. At third base, I see a lot of Rego. I see a lot of Fukuya too. Fukuya is very nice with that menace and that slugger and sprayer. Decent fielding, not too great, but can make it work. I see a little bit of Shacho out there. Of course, I talked about Fernuga. I think I said Fernuga was like 3 costs below. I apologize about that. It's actually 2 costs, but yeah, Shacho, been seeing a lot. Definitely nice slugger and good defensive third base. But I have been seeing a lot of Fernuga out there. Basically same idea as Shacho, slightly worse on defense, but can get the job done basically. I feel like the shortstop position is pretty much just dominated by Morikawas. That's pretty much kind of the majority of what I see. Morikawa playing that shortstop more than likely. Maybe a Bennett Suro, but most of people just running that Morikawa. If they're not, they're running Izuyoi. And the outfield gets tricky. I still see people running Kagami. Kagami is still a nice choice, but I feel like there's better bats out there for 7 costs, although that chaser is kinda irreplaceable. I still see the Sagas and the Kohlbergs of the world. The Saga and Kohlberg, they kind of dominate that center field position, more so Saga than anything. People have been running a lot of Saga, deservedly so. He's just very good defender, as we talked about, as well as he has that clinical ability, and when that victory comes in, he can slug. I've been seeing a lot of Shibuya. Of course, I'm running Shibuya. I have my gripes with him, but you can't deny the bat and the menace. And I've been seeing Shido and Satine in center field too if they're running a budget option. I've been seeing Yabe mostly used in the corner outfield, but Shido and Satine are mostly the budget center field. Kanehara maybe, but Kanehara I see as a budget Sakeno. Seen a lot of Kanehara too, but that's a nice budget option. budget contact option if you're looking for that. Other players I want to talk about, Kazanin. I don't think I've seen a single time 2 costs just basically killed them. Junkugetsu can be a good relieving option for 2 costs, I hear. Iron Ball is pretty good and he's a pretty decent hitter. Could be a nice pinch hitter. Tanakayama is 2 costs, which I feel like is a nice place for him. He's a very good shortstop with that Glover ability. Not much of a pitcher, but a very nice shortstop. 1 cost king at one point, but Ban is just better in my opinion. Could be a nice shortstop for you though. Alright, I think I'm gonna wrap up the video here. I think I talked about every player that I need to talk about. It was great to see how the meta is shifting, and it was great to talk about how different players are being used. Of course, as I said earlier, the PlayStation Days of Play sale is going on right now, only 69 cents. I would show your support if you have a PlayStation 4 or 5. And of course, check out the stuff in the description. Alright, I'm Compass, signing out. See ya.